to make the right plays, to make the right execution. And whether you're doing that all the time or not is a totally different thing. Now, I'm not saying Jim Leavitt's right by any stretch of the imagination for what he did. Obviously, him smacking around a player shouldn't be done. Just like there's other coaches out there that do the similar thing. It shouldn't be done. Was Jim Leavitt wrong for smacking around his player? Yes. Was the player wrong for trying to get his name out in the media for doing the same thing? Yes. Now, Jim Leavitt's out of a job, and USF is looking for a coach. Now, here's the thing. Here's where USF benefits the most from the situation. Jim Leavitt has built a program from the ground up that basically was a Division AA school, and within a certain time frame, turns them into, well, honestly, a very competitive BCS caliber school. Now, here's the problem. A couple years ago, last year actually, they were rated as high as number 2 in the nation. And then they took a downward spin the final last couple games of the week. Now, here's the thing. Jim Leavitt has coached that school, has basically taken that program, I think, as far as he can personally as a coach. There's times and points as a program where you need to recruit a higher caliber coach, somebody that names are going to draw to. Right now, Florida is a hotbed for football players. They have been for a very long time, as well as the state of Texas. Football down here is almost as much of a religion. Now, here's the thing. FSU and the University of Miami have been on the downslide for many years. Florida has been on a huge upclimb for many years. With the right coach, USF's program could take an incredibly big step in the pursuit of recruiting and getting the right players in if they can get a coach that has a bigger name. Somebody that is going to bring a little bit more prestige to the program. There are some candidates already being discussed, but the only person I've heard so far that has any type of national recognition and credibility is Tommy Tuberville, who last coached at Auburn. Now, if they could get somebody like Tuberville, I think they'd be much better off in the situation. Will Jim Leavitt land back on his feet? Definitely. Absolutely, positively. Will he land in a bigger program? More than likely. Okay? So now, Jim Leavitt's out of USF, and the search has begun. Now, here's the thing. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And that's all I have to say about the University of Southern California. The University of Southern California, for the past couple years, has been under scrutiny, review, and everything that you can name for players receiving benefits that they should not have received. From Reggie Bush to O.J. Mayo. I mean, and now, on top of it, you have their running back, you have their one of their star running backs, Joe McKnight, saying that he's going to enter the draft. Joe McKnight is also under investigation, and he's been in the news most recently for his dealings with a Santa Monica businessman, Scott Schnettner, who basically Joe McKnight he's been seen driving in this SUV that apparently Scott Schnettner owns. He wants to say that it's his girlfriend, etc., etc., etc. Now, here's my thing. With all these allegations coming out against USC, whether it's Reggie Bush, O.J. Mayo, and they've already found that O.J. Mayo did receive benefits, and the basketball team's already forfeited the wins from that season, and their NCAA eligibility for that season, and the money that they received for playing in the NCAA tournament that season. Okay, all that's fine and dandy, but where there's smoke, there's fire, folks, because as of right now, you see USC players are leading in fashion for the NFL draft. They're all saying, hey, I don't want to get hurt. I understand that. But folks, when I say there's smoke, there's fire, guess what? There is definitely fire. Reported today, okay, the Seattle Seahawks fired their coach, Jim Mora. Now, Jim Mora is really not the greatest coach in the world to begin with, okay? Young guy, he's got a good mind, and the Seahawks fired him after one season. But here's the thing. I don't think Jim Mora Jr. is the right coach for the job. He was a decent coach in Atlanta. The Seahawks are really a step up from Atlanta and really need a coach to carry them. But here's the thing, folks. If you really weren't worried about your recruiting and worried about playing for a national championship or anything like that, would your name, Mr. Pete Carroll, be targeted as Jim Mora Jr.'s replacement? Now, there is speculation going out, and there are sources within USC stating that Jim Mora, who was fired, saying that Mr. Pete Carroll is very close to signing a 5-year contract worth $7 million a year. Holy bejesus. Now here's the thing. Pete Carroll has stated a long time ago that, he understood why he really didn't have that much success in the NFL and why he's had success in the college. And Pete Carroll feels like he needs total control over everything. So, if Pete Carroll does make that transition to become the Seattle Seahawks new head coach, he's also going to be their new president. Now, if I'm just reporting this, folks. There's smoke, there's fire. Pete Carroll's leaving the program because he obviously knows that there is going to be some type of investigation in his football program, as is already evident and going on. But he knows the findings are going to come back and basically hit him in the face. Now, they can be sanctions against him, they can be sanctions against the team, they can be sanctions against pretty much anybody. If Pete Carroll had any type of involvement with anything that Joe McKnight was doing, it could come back to severely tarnish him. So, what do? You get out while the going's good, and you find a team that can take you on. Now, obviously, the Seahawks need a coach. Obviously, Mike Holmgren, we all know from now. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to report last week when it happened, but we all know that Mike Holmgren is now with the Cleveland Browns. So, obviously, Holmgren going back to the Seahawks is just not a good fit. Now, here's the thing. Pete Carroll going to the Seahawks, in my opinion, I don't believe is a good fit. I think Pete Carroll is, I don't even want to use the word great. I want to say he's a decent college head coach.